Lenny Vetter, did you ever cross paths with Rowdy Roddy Piper? I know you worked together on Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies, but did your paths ever cross in the wrestling world? Was he as much of a character off screen as he was on screen? And do you have any good Roddy Piper story? Funny, we're going to be doing TNA. Funnily enough, the episode that you main event, we'll talk about this another time, Roddy Piper's on. And also, he was part of WCW for a while. So you've crossed here and there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, first of all, my first foray to WWF in 84 and doing jobs up there.
84? 86. 86. Because it was on Superstars. It was on the first Superstars or second Superstars, and that came out September 86.
Okay, so that would have been the same year then as you know. See how as time goes on, it sort of compresses in my head. But so 86. When we're up there, you walk into that dressing room. First of all, incredibly intimidating. First of all, most of these guys, like Hogan was a big guy, Andre, monster, right? That was Jake, 6'6". I mean, everybody was huge up there. And so you walk in there as a little skinny green kid, pretty intimidating. But no, off-screen, Roddy was very, very different than he played on-screen. And boy, on-screen, he was magnetic. Just incredible to watch. But off screen, very quiet. He quiet not only in stature but quiet in voice. He talks sort of low like this, and really even keeled guy. Like so, as a kid, I grew up watching this guy, right? And so you expect that guy when you meet him, and you go like, okay, he's a little different than that. But if you know anything about his upbringing and living on the street and all of that, and getting into business as young as he was. Had a really tough launching pad. And, if you're again at that time, Roddy was about my size, maybe a bit shorter. But his mic skills, and I would utilize it a much different way in a much lesser degree later. I realized that Roddy's mic skills had transformed the business. Like it suddenly wasn't all about the holds and everything else and the counters. Just like I've always said, those people you can't take your eyeballs off of. And I challenge anybody, whether you liked Roddy or didn't like his character, you could not take your eyes off of him. If the Piper's Pit was what a masterful way. And I don't know if that was his idea, Vince's idea, conglomeration of the two. But boy, what a showcase, because wrestling had never seen that before prior to that, right? They had different segments and stuff, but like this actual set, and Roddy gets to be Roddy and do this over-the-top stuff. And suddenly wrestling had taken on a different tone. Like it was something different. I talk about Sabu as being a transformative figure in wrestling. Roddy Piper was certainly that. And we had talked before, full disclosure, before we came on the air, James had said, hey, we have a question about Roddy. And I said, well, okay, well, just wait. I want to hear what the question is. But I had recently gone back. The local theater had played They Live. And I hadn't seen that movie in forever. So, excuse me, I had gone and watched it. And as I'm sitting there watching it, I'm thinking to myself, like, not that I would have, but you almost want to say, hey, I knew him. Like, yes, this guy's great. But that was what struck me, was even on watching him on the screen in this first movie of his, he inhabits that character. Like, you don't watch it and go, okay, this is Roddy Piper playing a guy. Obviously, you're very well aware, if you're a wrestling fan, this is Roddy Piper, but he comes across as that character. Hogan, always seemed like Hogan on screen. Even The Rock today, The Rock is pretty much the same character in all the movies. But Roddy somehow I don't know if he had taken lessons or, what, but he imbued that character. And you rarely get the feel when you're watching him like, okay, this is Roddy Piper playing this guy. You think he's this guy uncovering these things, these androids. And later on Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, what sort of tinged my heart a bit was I'm sitting there and I'm watching Roddy prepare as one of the producers. I'm watching, like, when we're shooting his scenes, and he would do this sort of exercise where he would walk off, down the hall or around the corner or something, and just sort of like do this pacing thing back and forth. And I finally asked him, I said, like, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm running through my head like different ways I can play this scene, and how can I make differences in it and stuff. And I thought, well, my naivete. He said, well, the words are written, the script's there, and the director allowed us to like change those words to like how Shane Douglas would say it. So I'm like, wonder what he's doing, and I kept watching him do it, and he started to go, okay, how I said about how he imbued that character. That's what he's doing when he's going down there. He's running it through his head, and how would he play this character? Because if I played that same character, I probably would play it differently than Roddy would have played it, and probably not nearly as good. But and it struck me. Here I am 30, 35 years later, and I'm still learning from Roddy Piper. Just an amazing talent on screen, and from what we did, transformed our business and gave guys like me that would later come and get that microphone just a vision of what could be, what's something different about it, or a way to do it differently.